Today I've got something pretty exciting. AYANEO has been known for making gaming handhelds similar to the Steam Deck, but this is a retro mini PC from AYANEO. It's the AM02, part of their remake concepts. And this specific product has raised over 300,000 on Indiegogo. Now for the package, this is an 100-watt charging brick. You can use this for anything. Charge any other device that uses Type-C power delivery. This 100-watt charger would be around like $50 if you're gonna buy it alone. So this is pretty sick. Team 1 charger, bro. The Type-C cable that came with it is around like a meter long. Along with the charger, you also get 3 adapters for different parts of the world. This is pretty awesome. The adapters just clip on like this. Or if you don't need any adapter, the prongs just flip open like this. So this is a very nice 100-watt game charger. They also give you 2 screwdrivers, Phillips head for different sizes, and they're magnetic, you can see like that. And you also get 2 pry tools. And they give you screws. I believe these are M.2 screws for any future replacement that you're gonna do with the M.2 slot. So on that topic, let's move on to the actual device. This is the AM02 mini PC. You're gonna get it like this. This is a 4-inch touchscreen. I'll show you later on what it can do. It shows you the fan speed and temperatures. And this is the entire device. It's made out of solid plastic. It feels pretty premium. This is the fan intake. And on the back you have I/O. These are 2 USB 2s, DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0. This is 2 Ethernet jacks. This one is only 1 gig, but this one is 2.5 gig. So if you want to use this thing as a little Plex server or a small NAS, it's definitely usable. And this is for power delivery, and this is the Kingston lock. On the front, this lid flips open with this click. And you get a USB 4, full speed, full function at 40 gigabits per second with Thunderbolt. So that means you can connect an external GPU if this device isn't fulfilling your needs. But keep in mind, eGPUs are pretty expensive. They're probably at the same price as this device itself. And these two are USB 3.2. This is a 3.5mm headphone jack. And these two are all 10 gig ports, unlike in the back, where they're all only USB 2s, which means they're probably only for peripherals like keyboards or mouse. Now let's get into the device. This device is a 512 gigabyte version with 16 gigs of RAM. It has a Ryzen 7 7840HS, which is on the Zen 4 architecture. The integrated GPU is a 780M Radeon. So even though this chip is a 2023 version, you would get the same integrated GPU if you're to get a 2024 version chip. We're greeted with the keysync. You have to get to the other side to access the dual RAM sticks running in 2-channel mode and the M.2 drive. Wow, this is a pretty sick board. You have a second slot for another M.2. That's why they gave you the extra screws. So the M.2 is stacked above the Wi-Fi card. We can see this is an Intel card that supports Wi-Fi 6E. Oh, this looks like the motherboard for the screen. So it's running a separate system and software for the 4-inch screen. Alright, so this has pretty impressive internals, and you could add your own SSD if you want, or this device could be bought bare bone at a lower price that doesn't come with any RAM or SSD and install everything by yourself. Wow, I'm actually impressed. You get a second SSD slot. Let's screw everything back together. The disassembly was actually very easy. All you needed to take off was 4 screws. They're pretty long screws, but that was everything you needed. And then you could access the dual 8 gig 2-channel RAM and the M.2 SSD. And you have an extra SSD slot for any expansion that you want to add in later on. For example, if you have your entire Steam library on a single SSD, you can move that right onto this device and not do any additional downloads. All you need to do is verify the integrity of those files after you install your disk drive. Now let's talk about performance. All of the testing with the product has been done with the max TDP of the settings. So that means it's at 45 watts and the TDP boost is on. And that would also mean that you would have a fan noise of 56 decibels, which means you need headphones for anything that pushes your device to the limit. Now, first and foremost, this is a retro device. If you're gonna do anything retro, you're probably gonna want to emulate some of the games. Now, using the Yuzu emulator, I tried playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom on this device. And that was not a great experience if you played it at 1080p. It's only in the intro where you're in the cave with the torchlight that you get 60 FPS. So I had to drop it down to 0.7 times 1080p, which means it's running at 810p. The quality is not that good, but it's still better than the 720p you would get on the Switch. And keep in mind, this is while using Fidelity FX, so emulation is really not as strong as you would think. Now, the second game we tested was CSGO, which could run smoothly above 100 FPS if you set the game to medium settings. And if you cap your frame rate at 60 FPS, it would stay locked at 60 FPS completely throughout your whole gameplay, and the TDP would stay around 21 or 22 watts, which means the fan noise at this point is completely acceptable. Now, another game we tried was Cyberpunk 2077, and you can't really expect this integrated GPU, the 780M, to run above 60 FPS, but it definitely can run above 30 FPS. And again, you have to use the Steam Deck preset, and while you're in that preset, you have to turn down your settings to either medium or low for better experience. And with everything set at low, you could get an average FPS around 55 FPS, which is really playable, but it's not the smoothest experience you're gonna get. But keep in mind, everything is being done around 45 watts, which is insane. Another open world we tried was Genshin Impact, which this device can run at 60 FPS no problem. But I was on medium settings and at 0.9 times the resolution. So I'm thinking that you would want smoother gameplay over a good quality of graphics. And this device can run Genshin no problem if you want a good experience. Now, after games, I also run some synthetic benchmarks like Cinebench 2024 and Cinebench R23, which for the 2024 version, the device was running at 100% load on the CPU constantly. But on the R23 test, the device was running only around 80% load, which means it's not fully utilizing the CPU, even on multi-core. I think Cinebench 2024 is really pushing the device to the limits and shows its ultimate performance. So with the multi-core score, it got 818, which is similar to the Ryzen 5 800X, but that CPU is running at 105 watts, while this CPU is running at 45 watts. And single core performance is 101 points, which again, this time is even higher than the 5800X. Now, for Cinebench R23, the multi-core score was 11,462, and the single core score was 1673. Now, onto 3D Mark's Time Spy, the AYANEO AM02 got a total score of 3,079, graphics 2,752, CPU at 9,487. And the stress test performance was at 99.5%, which means it maintained this performance really well and constantly. Do keep in mind of the loud fan noise. And with 3D Mark's new test, the Steel Nomad Lite, this device was able to get a score of 2,494. For the rare case that anyone would want to use this device as a Plex server, Handbrake encoded a 4K 10-minute video at 5 minutes and 8 seconds at average of 61 FPS using the hardware encoder from AMD. And using X265, it took 13 minutes and 5 seconds at 24 FPS average. This device has 4 configurations. All of them come with the 7840HS Ryzen 7 with the Zen 4 architecture and is running the integrated AMD Radeon 780M. For the first version, you get the bare bone AM02, which doesn't come with any RAM or any M.2 storage. And the second version, you get 16 gigs and 512 gigs, which is this version. And that costs $532 USD. The bare bones version costs $481 USD. the 16 gigs and 1 terabyte version is $572 USD. So you're only adding $40 for an extra 512 gigabytes. For the 32 gigabyte RAM and 1 terabyte storage version, it's 702 USD dollars. So overall, I think this is a pretty awesome device. It's very well thought out, especially with the extra M.2 slot and the 100-watt charger that came with the box. And the only concern with this is that the IA software still needs optimization. It's laggy at times, and the fan noise is pretty loud when you're running at full 45 watts. Or if you're using it in the living room and putting it underneath your TV, that might help. Personally, didn't test that out. I've always kept this under my monitor, but I think overall, this device is pretty awesome. It might be the best mini PCs for gaming out there right now. That wraps up this video, and thanks for watching. This is a pretty cool product.